Hi! Today we're going to talk about pride and if it's important or not, which is a weird question to ask, wouldn't you say? Especially if you're trans or LGBTQIA+, that whole thing. I mean, pride is kind of important to that entire community, wouldn't you say? Wouldn't you think that perhaps it gives you a certain amount of leverage in the community to feel like you're powerful as a group and that you have a sense of presence in a society that may feel like it denies you? I think this is a good question to ask, though. Is pride important? And the reason why I frame it like that is because we need to remind ourselves of why it is important and also how it has evolved in its thinking and its approach in mainstream media, and if it's even relevant anymore in terms of the principles and the direction where it started and set forth on and what its original purpose was. So this is the kind of stuff that I'd love to explore with you today, and we talk about all sorts of trans, LGBT, personal growth topics. Please like and subscribe if you're into that kind of videos, and write me a comment down below and say hello. I read those comments. So, is pride important? This is a controversial question to ask because the assumption is it is. And I think we should always question our assumptions, don't you? Because if we don't, then we just continue to live on the lives of the ideas that were set before us and continue to do that over and over again. And I mean, like, that's kind of how you ended up with this issue of even just being trans or gay or LGBT. The whole thing is we are having to continually question the assumptions of what is gender, what is sexuality, and what's acceptable, right? I went to Pride, so I spoke at Trans Pride in Berlin last year, and this is actually what I wore without the tiara. I got the tiara this year. And, like, what I saw was a beautiful gathering of people who really appreciated being trans and stepping up and that power of being trans. And it was this beautiful thing where I could look at all of these trans people and feel like I was a part of a larger community. And it felt so empowering to be in the company of other trans people, to see their visibility, to celebrate their visibility, and to be seen and feel empowered as a part of a community. So Trans Pride specifically was amazing for me. It was so empowering. I felt like it was my birthday, and I felt like I was rising to another level. And that was amazing, including the, what was it? I had a foursome. Oh my God. I've never told people that. I had a foursome that night. That was I had 4 people in my bed, including myself. So is that a threesome? If there's 4 people? No, it's a foursome. Yeah, I had quite a lot of activity that night. And so it was great. I had a really good time. But I went to Pride, which is LGBT+, and that was a totally different story. And this is kind of the same story that I would say Pride was like in San Francisco the year prior. So we're talking about Pride 2021, and we're talking about Pride 2019, because there wasn't one in 2020, right? 2019 San Francisco and 2021 Pride in Berlin, both of these were just full of cis people, which is fine. But a lot of people were completely straight. They had no idea what Pride was actually about. I mean, they knew from a service level, but it really kind of struck me as an excuse to get fucked up and to just take drugs and have a really big party. I mean, have you been to Pride? Have you seen how many people are drunk and how many normies show up to just take part of the celebration? I kind of feel like Pride, to me, now when I go to these Prides, it's just a massive party that I don't want to partake in because it doesn't really feel like it's celebrating any of the points that we're trying to get across. And yeah, you can say that when you water it down, it is about just visibility and saying, woohoo, great, like this is fantastic, we're visible, I'm gay, blah, blah, blah. But being gay and being visible is not a big fucking deal anymore. Like, let's get over that. Like, it's okay to be gay, it's okay to be a lesbian in Western society. I think Pride has a much stronger purpose in places like Lithuania, where last Pride there was a lot of resistance and protesting, but that Pride has helped normalize the existence of LGBT people. But I mean, San Francisco, Pride, are you serious? Like, do we need another Pride to try and demonstrate that it's okay to normalize being LGBT? I think if anything, we just need to move the power needle and where we focus our efforts to people who are trans or intersex or non-binary who still don't have the collective acceptance or understanding of their own existence. If anything, we need to move more towards just trans visibility and helping people understand that being trans is totally fine. And if you're a straight trans woman, it's not gay to date you. Am I right, girls? Fuck that shit. That shit is way fucked up and I hate it. Oh my God. An aside, my mom asked me about my boyfriend and she thought he was gay or bi or something. And I was totally insulted by that. That was like totally fucked. So, like, what has Pride become? I mean, what's Pride to you and how do you see Pride become what it is today? I mean, it's just co-opted by corporations that like put on their rainbows and say, we're LGBT, come work for us. You know, it like doesn't have the same power that it had, I don't know, 5-10 years ago. I didn't partake 10 years ago, but I certainly feel like at an earlier stage, I mean, it wasn't even okay to be trans 5 years ago, right? Like, when did the conversation become, hey, let's talk about gender equality for trans people? It's really been like the last 2 or 3 years, honestly. So I can see a lot of validity in the power of Pride 5-10 years prior when it was still not fully accepted to be gay or trans, and that these kinds of places that are safe and allow other people to get exposed to this ideology, this shift in perspective is super powerful because you can say, hey, like these are normal people. Like there's no problem here. They're not some weird extraterrestrial monster that's trying to steal things, though we can, you know, have those conversations rhetorically from a political perspective. But like, it's normalized. Why do we need it? I don't think we necessarily do, but I do feel like it has a foundational effect. It keeps the conversation going around LGBT rights, and it does keep that continual exposure for people to see it and to have an opportunity. That's a big one. Have you come out yet? Have you looked at places where you feel safe in coming out? Pride is one of those places where you can feel like you can dress to your best and really show and present. And that can be empowering because wearing this for me was like the first time I went out and I can't hide my bulge. So like I just went out there, you know, afraid of getting attacked normally, but I could wear this, celebrate my body and just be like, hey, what's up? This is me, you know? So there is layers to this where Pride has value, but I just don't think it has the same value that it has had. And I personally find Pride to be overwhelming. I don't want to party with a bunch of cis people that don't really care about the fundamental values of what Pride is about. It's about empowering the community, standing together and stepping up with this political aspect of normalizing our existence and saying we are powerful, we are amazing, and we don't need to put up with bullshit anymore. Do you know what I mean? Like, fuck that shit. So, I feel like for gay and for lesbian folks, they've kind of achieved that. But for trans folks, I don't think we have. And that's why I really liked Trans Pride, because it feels like we're at that point in our community and culture where the next real thing we need to lift up is the trans population, wouldn't you say? I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think about Pride and what you think would be, I don't know, the appropriate interpretation of is it important or not, or how important is it and how impactful is it in your life? We talk about these kinds of things, and if you'd like to support me, you can support me on Patreon, you can buy my book, and you can join our Discord community. I'll see you in another episode soon. Bye!